Do you struggle to integrate new shots into your game? Well, I have got 5 tips for you which are going to help you level up your training. Get it right and your training will become way more effective, way more efficient and much more fun. Ben here from PH Tennis, and not a top 5, so to speak, but rather the 5 stages that all shots, all programs, every skill you have need to be taken through so you can fully integrate them into your game. Essentially, what we are doing is we are simplifying the learning process and structuring the learning process into 5 very distinct categories. And as we go through, I'm going to help you understand where you're at, and then therefore which category you should be in, what stage of learning you are in, and then how to adapt your training accordingly. Get it right, and your training will become way more effective, way more efficient, and much more fun. So first of all, we need to learn our new skill. Now, you can take any single shot in tennis, it really doesn't matter. Obviously something you've never done before, so something you need to learn for the first time. For example, let's just take a backhand slice. So we don't know how to do a backhand slice, you've got no idea at all. If you're trying to learn something for the first time, you don't need any sort of chaos, any kind of busyness. You want life to be as simple and as easy as possible. So that is when you will do a very, very simple drill or exercise to literally learn the motor pattern that you are trying to perform. So backhand slice, for example, you would just practice that feeling of slicing through a ball. You don't even need to have a tennis ball there, you are just learning the motion. Now, this could take as quick as 5 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, but you really shouldn't be here for very long. Very, very quickly, we need to get through to the next stage, which is practice. Now it's time to practice your new shot. We need a little bit of chaos in our life now because we need to be able to start integrating a little bit of the real world of tennis into our training. So you are going to have a live ball. It doesn't need to be particularly varied. So this is when you might see a coach just hand feeding or even just dropping the ball to yourself. Then you are trying to repeat, get as many repetitions of just that skill over and over and over. We don't want barely any variation at all, but we do need a live tennis ball because we need to see if it's going in, if it's going out, if we're getting the desired characteristics. Is it staying low? Is it slicing? All those kind of things. So this is when you might get a basket of balls, maybe do 100 reps over and over and over, and make sure that you've got that shot nice and tight, and your muscle memory, I don't like the phrase, but essentially you can play that shot without having to think about it too much. As soon as you've got that, we now need to leave practice and move on to the 3rd stage, which is train. Time to train our new skill. We need some chaos now, we need some variation. You 100% need a ball coming towards you, so you could still be fed to you by a coach or a colleague, but essentially you need to have a realistic ball traveling at you from the other side of the court. And what we want now is a little bit of decision making and a little bit of variation. Maybe you are going to play topspin on some and you're going to slice others. So we're adding sort of a decision-making element to it. We're adding maybe high and low, so you're going to get just a bit more realistic in terms of how you're actually playing the shot. When we play matches, not every single slice is the same. We can have faster balls, higher balls, balls closer to you, wider, all sorts. So now is the time to try and play your slice in the sort of broader terms of tennis. Can you use that shot in multiple situations, and can you decide the right ones to do it? So as we go through, as we up the chaos, we're sort of creating more realism. The shot is becoming deeper ingrained in your whole game. Now you've learned that shot in a little bit more chaos, we just need to keep adding more. So we move on to the next phase, which would be testing your new shot. Right, we are testing our new shot. We need to see if it works or not. Is it ready for the rigors of a real match? So we want to get essentially as close as possible to a real match. You could maybe play some points with someone down the other end. It doesn't have to be a full tennis proper match. You could just, feed the ball in, play some half-court points. But essentially, when you get the opportunities, are you making good decisions? Are you playing your shot at the right time? And then when you are playing it, is it working? Right, so it is very, very easy to play hundreds of of backhand slices if a coach is just throwing you a ball. It is very, very hard to use a slice at the right time, in the right situation, and effectively making life difficult for an opponent. So there is a limit to how far coaching can take you, and this is essentially the limit. You now need to go out into the real world and test that shot. The reason we have to keep it friendly, so this isn't a proper full competition, is because we don't want to be using this until we're sure that it works. So consider this like a test on a piece of software that a company might be releasing. Before they send it out into the world, one final test to just check that everything is working exactly as it should be. That is the test phase. Before we get to the last stage, which is compete. Coming up next. Finally, you've got to match time. It's time to compete. You are playing a proper match, but you care about the result. That's the key. That's one of the big differences between competing and testing. You are going to play your match. You're not thinking about this shot anymore. You've learned it, you've practiced it, you've trained it, you've tested it. Now it's the time to just play a game of tennis. If it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But ultimately, what you're hoping for is that new shot of yours, your new backhand slice, when required, you are playing it exactly as and when you should, and it is working perfectly. At the end of the game, you sit back, you have a bit of a chance to reassess, and you go, yeah, I'm really happy with my backhand slice. Time to pick a new shot. And essentially, we start the whole process again. However, you might not need to go all the way back to the start. So, for example, you may have played a match and you've just gone, oh, all my topspin forehands are landing a little bit short. We don't need to relearn your topspin forehand, but what you might need to do is go back and just train it a little bit more. Maybe you need to work on just dealing with balls that are maybe slightly higher or when you're slightly deeper. So just make sure when you're competing, you are trying to win, but you are objectively looking at yourself and trying to understand why things aren't working, because that will inform how you learn your next shot. So there you have it, the chaos model, or the stages of learning. You learn, you practice, you train, you test, you compete. You don't have to always go back to the start. The competition informs where your skills are. Your whole game is made up of hundreds of different skills. You don't all need to be relearnt every time something's gone a little bit wrong, but you do need to be aware enough to be able to pick them out and then practice them or train them or test them at the right point. Like I said before, when you see there's hundreds of videos of coaches feeding players, and that is great for certain parts of the process. There's some fantastic drills, there's some fantastic coaching aids, but they are only going to work for one, maybe two of these stages. To take a brand new shot from never having done it before to playing a match, you're going to have to approach it in multiple different ways based on how integrated and how ingrained that skill is in your whole game. I hope that makes sense. We love hearing from you, so if you have any questions or comments, please drop them below and we will endeavour to get back to you. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and you will see us soon.